Hello, and welcome to my channel here on the interwebs. Please smash the like and subscribe button if you like my content. Of course, leave a comment down below on what your thoughts on any of my videos for the topics. And also make sure that you share my content because I really want to grow my channel and grow my community and make it as awesome as possible. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the Texas Democrats. That's right. So this was kind of the developing over the couple of days. Let's see here. Let's go. I have a couple of pages open here on the old Firefox. That's right. No thanks. Texas Democrats addressing departure to try to stop GOP voting bill. Austin, Texas AP Democrats in Texas legislature on Monday bolted for Washington, D.C., and said that they were ready to remain there for weeks in a second revolt against the GOP overhaul of election laws, forcing a dramatic new showdown over voting rights in America. Private planes carrying a large group of Democrats took off from the airport in Austin, skipping town just days before the Texas House of Representatives was expected to give a early approval to sweeping new voting restrictions in special legislation session. Hours after they took off, the Republican governor told Austin television station that he will be keep calling special sessions through the next year if necessary to raise the possibility of a Democrats facing arrest upon returning home. That is right. He said in this article right here, in this video, that he is going to advise that the Speaker of the House issue arrest warrants as a tactic and to call session after session if they keep on playing these stunts. Of course, they're off. Texas Democrats break quorum to halt action of Republican-led bills during the special session. Supporters hold signs sending them off to the airport. This is just one picture I just want to share. Of course, let's go ahead and open this up. I don't really know who that person is, but they're so oppressed that they got to take the Miller Lite with them. And also want to keep a note that they're not wearing masks in a bus as they make it to the airport. And of course, it has to refresh again. So here they are all on a private jet. Guess what? No masks. So I guess we no longer have to wear masks on airplanes anymore. Cool. Not that I plan on going anywhere. I think this is a picture to show the Miller Lite. So, they're so oppressed they have to just grab a 24 pack of Miller Lite. All you prove is a beer box. Yeah, I think the hypocrisy is pretty thick. Now, of course, Texas House Republicans vote to track down absent Democrats and arrest them if necessary, according to the Texas Tribune. A showdown at the Texas House was locked in place Tuesday, after the chamber voted overwhelmingly to send law enforcement after Democrats who left the state the day earlier in protest of the GOP priority election legislation. More than 50 House Democrats left Monday for Washington, D.C. to deny the chamber a quorum, the minimum number of lawmakers that needed to conduct business as it takes up voting restrictions and other Republican priorities in the special session. The agenda was set by Governor Abbott, including Bill House 3 and Senate Bill 1. The election legislation at hand would make a number of changes to Texas voting systems, such as banning drive-through and 24-hour voting options and further restricting the state's vote by mail rules. Over the weekend, both the House and the Senate committees advanced the bills, or the election bills. So basically, this is the Democrats not getting their way. So instead, they are going to Washington, D.C., try to convince some people on the right and probably some people in the Democratic Party to pass it on the federal level. to prevent Texas from having voter integrity. Now they're using the words voter suppression. They're using that it's racist. They're using all these words to strike up an emotion. But pretty much what the bulk of the law is, there's a few parts I probably don't agree with. Haven't exactly read it in full, but pretty much we had rules in place in, let's say, 2018, 2017, 2016, 2019. 2019, 2000, we actually had the COVID hit, and they kind of released some of the restrictions to make it easier for people to vote, which was really a good idea because we were in the middle of a pandemic and we had to make sure that the voters were safe, but were held to some standards. Now that we're starting to wind down from COVID, Texas wants to pull back some of the ease of voting or some of the less restrictive measures that we did in a time of need, but the Democrats want to make them permanent, so there's a standoff. It's pretty much a crux, and they're pretty much using every tactic in the book, and now they want to nationalize voting on a federal level, which pretty much takes the right of the state out of the equation. So much for state rights to pretty much dictate how every state's going to run it. But here's the kicker: Texas has some of the easiest voting in the country. You go to certain states like New York has stricter voting laws. How even Georgia, with the All Star game, went to another state, I think Colorado, that even has stricter votings than Texas. But this is just a ploy. This is a way of making people feel more powerful than they really are. Try to get people to vote Democrat. And of course, the Republicans are kind of guilty of this. I forget which state it is. I couldn't find a story to back up this claim, but I remember, I think maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, where the Republicans in another state fled so they wouldn't be able to cast a vote. So this tactic is not necessarily new, and I don't agree it when the Republicans do it. I sure hell don't agree it when the Texas Democrats do it here in Texas. Now keep in mind, this is a tactic that they used before. Back in 2003, the Texas Democrats fled to Oklahoma. But anyways, I don't agree with it then. I don't agree with it now. I think these are a cowardly tactic. If you don't agree with the bill, you should argue the merits on the floor. If you don't have the votes to block it, I'm sorry, you can't just get up and leave your job. This is kind of like anybody working in a non-government job or even a government job. If you have a disagreement with your boss and you say, "Hey, I disagree with where we're going," and they say, "Yep, well, we understand your concerns, but we're moving forward," and if you walk out, you pretty much abandon your job and you'll probably be looking for a new job the next day because you would have been fired for Delrick, Delrick or something of your duties or abandoning your post, which would be good reason for termination. This is exactly what they should get here, but since they were an elected official, they are protected in certain manners. It's kind of the same way as like the only thing that will come close to this, which is a stretch, I will admit, is the soldiers that are brave that actually volunteer their time to serve in our military. This is kind of the same scenario, but slightly different. It's kind of a far stretch, but this is kind of the same protections that they have. They can't really get fired, but however, we can do a special recall. There's definitely certain tools that we have, or at least the governor has, to pretty much get rid of them. One of them is a recall, which we could do signed petition for every single one of these members if they're in your district to do a special election. Of course, when it comes to election time, we could vote these people out, which I would highly recommend. Every single Democrat that has left this state, you should vote them out. Now, I don't care if you vote for another Democrat to take their place. There should be consequences to this type of actions, and one of them is you shouldn't be a representative. Anyways, that's all I have. That's my opinion. Leave a comment down below. Smash the like and subscribe button on all platforms if you can be so kind and share my content. But most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.